In this world, a person is granted a random set of skills by consuming a special fruit from an ancient glowing tree. Light, an aspiring adventurer, is on his way to the church to obtain the mysterious fruit for himself and gain a combat-type skill, like dual wield or swift. As cool skills like these tend to impress girls, he is accompanied by his childhood friend Lena, who mentions that Light's lifelong dream has been to become an adventurer. Now that the day to receive his skill has arrived, Light excitedly shares his enthusiasm with Lena, expressing how eager he is to begin his new life as an adventurer. Even though Lena is just another woman, Light assumes she must have some sort of ambition, so he asks her if she, too, desires a specific skill from the magical fruit. Having no dreams or goals of her own, Lena simply wants to follow in Light's footsteps. She answers by saying that she wishes to have the same skill as Light so they can pursue the same job and live happily ever after together. Light doesn't think much of it and hopes they can both become the new heroes of this world together. They continue walking down the path until they reach a fancy-looking church. Entering the place, they prepare to eat the magical ancient fruit. Fast forward a few months into the future. Light is now one of the most overpowered adventurers in this anime world, or so one might think. Sadly, no. He's a farmer, having completely changed his goals and now busily harvesting berries on his farmland. Although his dream was to become a hero, he is now stuck as a mere fruit farmer, all because of the useless, bogus skill he received on that unfortunate day. Hiding his pain with a forced smile, Light recounts what happened that day after he and Lena entered the church to receive their skills. Going back to that day, they are welcomed by the Holy Sister, who presents them with the special skill fruit and advises them to pursue professions suited to their skills. Before letting them taste the fruit, the sister mentions one ironclad rule that is crucial for them to obey. They must never attempt to eat another skill fruit, as consuming a second one would surely poison them and take their lives. Hearing that eating a second skill fruit is fatal, all the skill seekers are mortified and begin begging their gods to bestow them with the luck needed to obtain a combat-type skill, because without it, becoming an adventurer is impossible. Light, already familiar with these rules and conditions, leaves everything to fate and encourages Lena to eat the fruit first since she is the lady here. Reluctantly, Lena picks up one of the fruits presented to her and takes a bite. Instantly, a strange sensation surges through her, as though something sealed deep inside her has been unleashed. She remarks how hot her body feels all of a sudden and starts making happy noises. Just the usual nothing out of the ordinary going on here. As Lena begins to glow like a star, the sister realizes that she has been granted the Sword Saint skill, instantly making her the most important asset in the country. The sister, who had been waiting for years for a chosen one like Lena, excitedly goes to inform all the nearby guilds about the emergence of the new hero. I mean, surely even the most bogus-sounding skill in the world will turn out to be secretly amazing, right? If the name wasn't obvious enough, Light's skill allows him to harvest fruits like a true master, which, unsurprisingly, has absolutely no connection to combat. Stunned by this cruel twist of destiny, Light can't believe what he's hearing. He falls to his knees and begs the Holy Sister to let him eat another fruit. For obvious reasons, she denies his request and advises him to accept his fate. Seeing her childhood friend reduced to a wreck in his second life, Lena tries to comfort him. She offers kind words, saying that she'll stay by his side and help him grow a massive farm together. But the sister immediately freaks out, exclaiming that while Lena is the sole owner of her skill, she has no right to waste it by farming fruits with someone who has no real contributions to offer this world. The Holy Sister continues, explaining that sword saints like Lena appear only once a decade, or worse, a century, making it clear just how rare and valuable her skill is. For the nation's sake, Lena must sacrifice her personal desires and embrace her destiny as an adventurer. Before Lena can even respond, the sister forcefully takes her away, ensuring that her loser friend no longer influences her future. That moment was the last time Light saw his dear childhood friend. 3 months have passed, and Light still regrets not being able to say a proper goodbye to Lena. But life goes on. Determined not to give up entirely, Light has thrown himself into his new role, harvesting fruits with unmatched determination. His skills may be unconventional, but he's earning enough money to sustain himself. One day, on a trip to town to sell his latest harvest, Light spots a news board. Among the announcements, a poster catches his eye. It features Lena, the headline proudly declaring, "Fastest S-rank adventurer in history." It's clear that Lena is the talk of the town, with even the little children dreaming of becoming someone like her. This only frustrates Light, as he too wanted to be her equal. Determined not to be left behind, he begins training relentlessly, even though he knows he has no real chance of becoming an adventurer. He vows to give it his all so that one day, he can stand beside Lena as her equal. To motivate himself, Light sets an ambitious and frankly ridiculous goal: to cut a tree stump in half using only a sword. He figures that if he becomes strong enough to accomplish this, he'll naturally fulfill the requirements of being a swordsman. However, with his current strength, he barely leaves a scratch on the stump and quickly realizes that the task is utterly impossible. As he sits there in defeat, he imagines Lena's new life being so great that she might have completely forgotten about him. His spiraling thoughts are interrupted by a young girl named Isla, who approaches him and addresses him as her master. For context, a few weeks earlier, while Light was busy farming, the village chief had brought Isla to him, insisting that he take her in. Since then, she has been living and working with him on the farm. Isla, having come to the woods to fetch Light, reminds him that it's almost time for dinner. They return home and, over their meal, discuss the day's harvest. During the conversation, Light casually mentions that he has started cultivating skill fruits and proudly shows Isla the 2 boxes containing his harvested fruits. He sternly warns her not to touch them without his permission. Unfortunately, his warning comes too late. Isla, thinking the fruits looked tasty, had already added a few to the stew they just ate. The aftermath is straight out of a cartoon. Only after learning about the added skill fruits does Light begin to feel poisoned. As a familiar, intense sensation courses through his body, the same one he experienced 3 months ago, he panics, convinced that he's going to die in vain because of this stupid kid. Collapsing to the ground with searing pain in his chest, Light bids a dramatic farewell to Isla, making sure to let her know that it wasn't her fault. But the theatrics are short-lived, as the pain suddenly disappears, leaving Light utterly confused and questioning how he's still alive. At this moment, a new skill is unlocked, and the Holy Sister from the church also senses that something unusual and special has happened just now. Much like Light, Isla's skill also awakens, and she unknowingly uses it to learn that Light's Fruitmaster skill makes him immune to the poison of all kinds of fruits. Perhaps she has unlocked the appraisal skill, as she uses it again to learn that the new skill Light has just unlocked is called Sword God, which has the ability to dramatically increase Light's attack power when wielding a sword. Eager to use his new skill, Light rushes to the woods and attacks a giant log using his sword, slicing the log in half like butter. Becoming the only person in the world who can have 2 skills, Light starts manifesting his main character energy and again sets his goal to become an adventurer. The next day, he heads to the Adventurers Guild along with Isla and goes to the reception desk alone to register himself as an adventurer. The adventurers at the guild have no manners, they're just a bunch of bums, and one of these bums named Gene deliberately bumps into Light to make fun of him. Having recognized him as the infamous Fruitmaster, Light ignores the bum as he has better things to do, but that only escalates the situation. As the bum draws his sword to attack, Light defends like a pro, embarrassing the group of bums enough to make them leave quietly. With them gone, Light takes his very first guild commission job and sets out in the wastelands with Isla to hunt slimes. Being overpowered as heck, Light easily hunts his prey down and has Isla collect the valuables from the carcasses, tempting her with the offer of a pizza. Suddenly, they overhear someone screaming for their lives, and conveniently enough, it's the group led by the worthless scum from before who has run into an ogre. The bum named Gene notices Light in the distance, so he leads the ogre straight to him, running away without looking back once. Light isn't scared of the monster. Instead, he's excited to mark the beginning of his ideal journey as a Fruitmaster swordsman. He dodges the first attack and is reminded by Isla that his sword god skill doesn't increase his physical defense, meaning that if he's hit once by the ogre, it will be his death for sure. Regardless of the setbacks, Light takes the risk as he wants to leave a mark on the golden pages of history by becoming the greatest adventurer ever. With that in mind, he lunges at the monster and, maximizing the power output, slices the ogre's weapon before decapitating the ogre's head using the sword god skill, Demon Slash. With this win, Light is certain that he will catch up to his childhood friend Lena in no time, and expresses how much he owes to his Fruitmaster skill for allowing him to have multiple skills at once. Meanwhile, Jean, along with his group in the background, reveals that he has been watching the fight and wonders who this guy even is. Anyway, they all return to the guild where Light proudly tells the receptionist how he defeated the ogre alone and shows her the ogre's horn as proof. Unlike Jean, his teammates acknowledge Light for saving their lives and praise him for how awesome he is, even as a rookie. Light is happy that his first day as an adventurer has turned out to be a success and hopes that things will continue this way. However, when the S-ranked party Sacred enters the guild, their very presence makes him realize that he has a long way to go before reaching the top. As the members of Sacred get closer, Light sees that one of their members is none other than Lena, who is now a countrywide star. Light excitedly approaches Lena, having not seen her once in the past 3 months, and asks how she's been doing. But she straight up refuses to know him, telling him that he has mistaken her for someone else. I mean, that's just how they all behave when they become successful in life, don't they? Taking a step back, we're introduced to the leader of the S-ranked party Sacred, Grouse, a man renowned for his godlike speed. Supporting him is the co-leader Strong Arm Eric, the Raging Flame Serum, and the newest addition, the Sword Saint Lena. It's no exaggeration to say that Lena has become the heartthrob of every novice adventurer at the guild, with many willing to trade their souls for just a 5-minute date with her. But Lena couldn't care less about romance. Her sole focus is on becoming the country's next hero. So, when her childhood best friend, the Fruitmaster Light, tries to speak with her, she outright pretends not to know him and walks away without a second glance. Light is left standing there, devastated, wondering if Lena has genuinely forgotten him. His shock is so profound it feels like emotional damage he may never recover from. Trying to cheer him up, Isla drags her master to a restaurant, offering him a treat to lift his spirits. But who is she kidding? She's the only one enjoying the meal, while Light sits there sulking like a lost puppy. Losing her patience, Isla threatens to eat his share if he doesn't stop acting like a total loser. Not wanting to starve, Light finally picks himself up and starts devouring pizza slices in a frenzy only to choke on them moments later. Out of nowhere, a helping hand offers him a glass of water. Once Light recovers, he looks up to find the person who saved him is none other than Lena herself. Overcome with excitement, he's about to scream her name, but Lena silences him immediately, warning that she cannot be seen here. If Grouse catches them together, the consequences could be dire. Lena, wearing a cloak to conceal her identity, questions Light about his motives for coming to the Adventurers Guild. Proudly, Light launches into a detailed retelling of how he and his assistant Isla became adventurers. Lena listens patiently, glad that Light's dream has finally come true, and encourages him to catch up to her soon with the help of his second skill, God Sword. Curious, Light asks Lena about her experience with Sacred, and Lena reveals that while the pay is excellent, the rest of the job is so miserable, it sometimes makes her want to quit. She explains that she's essentially being forced to work with teammates handpicked by the Holy Sister from earlier in the story. And as for why she pretended to not know him earlier, Lena shares a story from 2 months ago. She recounts the encounter when Sacred took an emergency guild commission and faced a titan serpent in the distant farmlands. During that time, the Raging Flame, Serum, recklessly used his flame magic on the serpent, and the wind blew his flames toward the nearby farmlands, causing the crops to start burning down. Unfortunately for Lena, she was the only one in their party who seemed to care. but the leader, Grouse, prevented her from taking any action, stating that these were just vegetables and would grow again. He argued that instead of focusing on a small loss, they should prioritize the bigger picture, adding further that if the serpent wasn't stopped by them, it would have taken countless lives. Lena, of course, didn't agree, knowing how much pain and effort a farmer invests to cultivate his land full of crops. So, she went straight to the Holy Sister, complaining that what the other members of Sacred did wasn't right. Unfortunately, the Holy Sister's views aligned with the other members of Sacred, and that is why Lena didn't push it any further and kept her silence from then on. Although she remained unhappy with it. Coming back to the present, Light proposes that Lena join his adventure party if she is not happy with her current one. But Lena refuses the offer, even though it's quite apparent that her heart is telling her otherwise. Light notices the tears in Lena's eyes, but before he can push this matter any further, Lena walks away, leaving him wondering what's going on with her recently. Later that night, Light and Isla are rewarded by the guild with 10,000 gold for defeating the ogre, and the receptionist encourages them to continue their great work. However, Light is not happy. He is worried about the way Lena was acting earlier and wants to fix things for her. So, he decides to approach the one guy she told him to stay away from and approaches Grouse when he is trying to share a private moment with his side chicks. He boasts about the mission he took today to hunt an evil grizzly bear and emphasizes how the raging flame and he dispatched it together. The guild receptionist comes over at that moment, telling Grouse about a complaint submitted by the locals that the flames of Serum dried up their reservoir. But just like before, Grouse doesn't care at all about the poor and tells the receptionist to ignore these complaints from now on, as they are not significant at all. Overhearing everything, Light steps in, demanding Grouse let Lena leave his party, as she would never stand for what Grouse is saying. Grouse doesn't understand what's going on and just assumes that Light is one of Lena's obsessed fans who had a bit too much to drink. Light continues to reprimand Grouse, but before he knows it, Grouse, with a snap of his fingers, summons 2 of his bodyguards, who throw Light out of the S-rank party exclusive lounge. Jean's 2 teammates saw everything and advise Light not to go against Grouse because if the Holy Sister finds out about this, she will basically blacklist him from the adventurer industry. But Light doesn't care and, in advance, apologizes to Isla if they do end up getting on the Holy Sister's bad side, because then they will no longer be able to afford pizza. The next day, when the members of Sacred are having a group meeting, Lena expresses her desire to leave Sacred, but Grouse doesn't allow it and threatens to hurt her if she dares to defy him again. Lena doesn't bother retaliating, as she is aware that her Sword Saint skill is completely outmatched by Grouse's skill. But Grouse doesn't stop there, and slaps Lena with the back of his hand as a punishment, making it clear how abusive and twisted this guy is. Just as the Sacred Party was departing from the city, Lena is sad. However, she is content at the thought of being able to save people. While in the party, just as they step out, they find Light standing outside, waiting for Grouse. He states that he wants to take his friend, Lena, with him. Ignoring Grouse, he urges Lena to join him, hoping that she would say yes. Unfortunately, she asks the idiotic stalker to leave her alone. Hearing this response, he reminds her of the vow they made to become adventurers together when they were kids. This memory leaves her startled for a while, but she remains keen on staying with Sacred. With no other option, he challenges Grouse to a duel, asking to be allowed to take Lena if he wins. At first, Grouse intends to chicken out, but soon agrees on the condition that Light would be banished from being an adventurer if he loses. When he agrees to this, Lena reminds him of how hard it was for him to become an adventurer. But the dumb-headed idiot insists on fighting for love. Before the fight begins, Isla figures that Grouse has the God-Speed skill. Wanting to be a man of honor, Light reveals that his skills are Fruitmaster and God Sword. Hearing this, Grouse feels like his non-existent intelligence has been insulted since it is impossible for a person to have 2 skills. I'm a split second. He moves in a flash and almost strikes Light with his sword. Fortunately, Light shields himself from the attack, leaving the 2 engaged in a battle of speed. At this point, Light spends his time defending Grouse's attack, making everyone believe that he is no match for Grouse. Soon, Grouse starts reappearing behind him to catch him off guard. but he continues to whisk away to avoid becoming the next Thanksgiving turkey. In the spirit of Thanksgiving, Light has no thanks to give as he continues to find it hard to land a single blow on Grouse. Shortly after, Grouse slices his sword in half, leaving him with a short knife for chopping some accompanying ingredients. Just before having the pleasure to ice-sky him, Grouse offers to spare him only if Lena swears her lifelong obedience to him. Not wanting this to happen, Light gets charged up. He assures Lena that he would win, and the pathetic gold digger goes to him, thinking the idiot stands a chance. Watching his only hope at finding love leave, Grouse gets very angry. On the other hand, Light realizes that he cannot continue this fight with the cutlery in his hand, and goes to borrow a deck scrub brush from a random person. Let's just hope his lifeless body doesn't get used to scrub the floors. This decision further infuriates Grouse. He thinks that Light intends to insult him, and is prepared to teach him the worst lesson of his life. While he approaches Light, Light closes his eyes and swiftly whacks him hard in the face. This sends him flying into the walls, sealing a surprising victory. Everyone who witnessed this is shocked to their bones. Meanwhile, the ladies are thrilled that he won the fight. Before he could enjoy his victory, he turned to the other members of Sacred. Feeling like a top G, he threatens to do the same to them if they ever think of disturbing them. Since she is now free from the Sacred, Lena accepts Light's offer and joins his party. A week later, Light and Isla are taking care of the fruits in the farm when Lena comes to call them for breakfast. The three all enjoy their meal happily and spend their time staying at Lena's huge mansion. While they eat, a message comes from the Holy Sister, asking Lena to report to her about leaving Sacred. Having finally received the freedom she sought, Lena grows the balls to insist that she will not meet the sister. Due to this, the messenger leaves her with a threat, claiming that she will not receive the same treatment she got as a member of an S-rank party. But she is determined to be an independent woman and do things on her own. Later that day, the three head to the Adventurers Guild to find a job and are offered petty jobs as punishment. Even with this, Lena doesn't mind. She happily accepts all the low-paying jobs available, and they all head out to complete them. When they arrive at the first village, the people are pleased that someone with a high ranking as her has come to help them. Without wasting much time, she instructs Light and Isla on what to do, and in a short time, they complete their first task of fixing a damaged roof. One task after another, they all complete the low-paying jobs and soon settle them all within a day. That night, Light is sad that all they could get is 100 gold coins after all the work they did. However, Lena doesn't care. She is just pleased that she was able to help people, which had been her lifelong dream. Even though Light's idea is different, the foolish simp agrees with her, claiming he had fun doing all the tasks. No difference from you watching this video. After that, Light suggests they come up with a name for their party. In a short time, they agreed to be called Luxeria. Happily, they all swear an oath, pointing their swords to the sky. Back at the Holy Sister's crib, she states her desire to hand Lena and her new party an S-ranked job. This would clearly be a dangerous one. They assume that since Lena is the only S-ranked adventurer amongst them, she would be able to survive the task. However, only time will tell. If you have watched this recap till now, let us know your favorite moment in the comments. Subscribe and check out other videos. Like and subscribe so we can keep bringing you the recap of the next episode. Till then, take care and stay safe.